All right, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to our city council meeting, February 9th, 2026. Going to call the meeting to order. I'm looking at roll call. We got a full house, Bonnie. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance is going to be led by Tucker Middle School STEM students under under the guidance of STEM coordinators Nathan Williams, Mr. Williams. So Mr. Williams and I taught together at Stone Mountain Middle School. Woo! Many moons ago. And Christopher Medeiros, thank you. And STEM instructor Peter Robertson. Did you all know their first names, by the way? Because we used to always just go by last names. Did you know your teacher's first names? Okay. Didn't want to out them for that. All right. Tucker Middle School became Georgia's first STEM certified middle school in 2014 and has won awards from the Technology Association of Georgia and achieved success in national competitions. Thanks for being here. You ready to lead us? All right. Thank you. You guys want candy? All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks for being here. All right, we're going to move on to public comment. Our rules of decorum come from Robert's Rules of Order. Our meetings are held in accordance with the Georgia's Open Meetings Act. We'll call upon those that sign up to speak and then open it up to those in the room. If you signed up by mistake, you thought we were taking attendance, feel free to say pass when your name is called. And you will each have 2 minutes to speak. But keep in mind that neither council nor I can respond back and forth to you during this time, and we'll be open for public comment for 20 minutes. Bonnie?
Ready? Lois Shingler.
When we call you up, tell us who you are and maybe the general area where you live.
Okay, I'm Lois Shingler. I live on Midvale Road, off Midvale Road. We've lived here for 42 years as Tucker residents, and very proud to be here, very proud of my city. I have 2 minutes, as usual, of very good news, both for Tucker Art Alliance and also for Peter and Paul's Place. Peter and Paul's Place quickly is we had an absolutely enormous dance, holiday dance that went really well, and some of you all came. And this Saturday, we had our first arts class of the year. We had 28 people, and we expected fewer than those, and 5 of my volunteers were ill. So we expected pandemonium, but it was wonderful. All of the caregivers, they helped, and we made Valentine's cards and all kinds of little Valentine's gifts. So it went really, really well. And again, I have to thank Tucker Recreation. Their staff, they're just wonderful. There were other things going on that day, and they managed to get us all set up and to get people where we need to go. We had 4 people in wheelchairs. They made it easy. So thank you all, and I know you all know how wonderful they are, but I needed to tell you that again. We're very proud of our partnership with them. And the good news with Tucker Art Alliance is that we are in the process of becoming a nonprofit. So we'll soon be a 501c3. We've got the name reserved. We're working on the bylaws and the articles. We'll get those filed. So we're going to be a nonprofit soon, and that's going to be a wonderful gift, I think, to Tucker. So again, thank you all for your support. You make it very easy, and we appreciate it.
Matthew Lee.
Good evening, Matthew Lee, 3350 North Lake Parkway. I'm here tonight on behalf of the CID to thank you for looking into modifying the loitering ordinance and aligning it with the county. We've seen this work well in Chamblee in 2021. I took a tour with a police officer there. We rode around at night, and in areas where a similar program was implemented, there were no issues. It was completely quiet. It was really great. So I think each of us here tonight, we're not worried about our home while we're away from it. But there's a lot of commercial property owners who wonder what they're going to encounter when they come back tomorrow morning, what's left behind, what they have to clean up, what damage may be there. And so having an agreement that people can enter into to say, yes, we'd like more support. We'd like you to be able to come onto our property and make sure that things are okay. That is a big plus for the community. And so thank you for that. If you have any questions about it, what property owners have experienced, I'm happy to share that with you at another time. I just really appreciate you thinking about all property owners, but particularly those who carry such an important responsibility financially in our community. Thank you.
Donna Davis.
Hello, Donna Davis, Cardinalwood Subdivision, and I'm speaking as a proud resident of District 3, City of Tucker, and DeKalb County. And I just want you to know how excited I am and how proud I am of Alexis Weaver getting asked to be appointed to the DeKalb County Housing Working Group, and I'm happy for DeKalb County to be having their first ever comprehensive housing plan. I'm hoping that that is going to be a big step forward for all of us. And in cooperation with all of the cities of DeKalb County, as well as the unincorporated groups. And Mayor Lerner, I commend you for choosing Alexis Weaver, and I hope that she is definitely appointed to all of that resolution is adopted and she is appointed to that group. I think Alexis's expertise and her devotion and interest in all things housing is an excellent, excellent choice. And also for the Habitat for Humanity, that CHIP program, investing in repairing houses and doing both of those, I hope, are accepted tonight. Thank you.
Nasiha.
Hi, I'm Nasiha Dahir. I'm a student at Tucker Middle School, and I'm here to talk about the STEM program. Personally, I've been in the STEM program for all 3 years that I've been in middle school, but a main part of that was TSA. This is just a plaque that we won last year. It's very competitive, I would say. We've been able to incorporate TSA into STEM and use it as a platform to build and grow as a chapter. And it's been able to give us an amazing opportunity to win trophies like this. But the STEM program is truly amazing. And it's been just an amazing opportunity that I've been given. And I'm very grateful. Thank you, guys.
Kyron.
Good evening. My name is Kyron Cobb. I've gone to Tucker Middle School since I was in the 6th grade. I've been in the STEM program since I was in the 6th grade, and I've honestly loved it so much. It's helped me advance so much as a person. I've learned so many new things, and it's gave me so many more opportunities that I wouldn't have if I wasn't in the STEM program.
Lucas.
Good evening. I'm Lucas Francia. I'm in the 6th grade, and I'm here to talk about the Tucker Middle School STEM program. This is my 2nd year being in the program. It's truly wonderful experience, to be honest. I went to elementary school, of course, and they didn't have anything that really made me interested in. I've always been interested in technology, but never really had a program that helped me with that. But when I got to middle school, I got to meet Mr. Medeiros and Mr. Williams, and it's been truly amazing. And this year, this is my first year in TSA, so I'm pretty happy to be here. Thank you.
Ariam.
Good evening. My name is Aryam Toldabrhan, and I am a 7th grader at Tucker Middle School. I would say STEM has changed my life a lot because in the beginning, before I started sixth grade, my mom wanted to put me in STEM, and I was just arguing because I thought it was just extra stuff that I didn't need. But then I got switched over in like second semester last year. And from there, I think like it has showed me that life isn't just about science, math, ELA, and social studies. Like I can go beyond that. And it's just given me the opportunity to like know that I can go wherever I want with life.
Nitya,
Hello. My name is Nitya Chawla, and I'm in 8th grade at Tucker Middle School. I just switched this year, so this is my first year in STEM. Best decision ever. I've been really liking it because all of the different projects that we do, they make you think about life and like what happens in a different way because it gives you an opportunity to try and fix it or change it. And it's really made me think very differently, which is I really appreciate it. And I joined TSA, which is also so cool, all the technology events and stuff, because you learn so many new things that you wouldn't normally learn in school. And robotics and everything. It's just, I really love it so much. And Tucker Middle School has been really great in the STEM program. Thank you.
Kent,
Thank you. My name's Kent Good, and I live in Browning Chase subdivision off of Idlewood Road. And this evening, I thought we might never get here. We waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we finally got to turn on to Idlewood and made it here in time. I am very thankful for the project that is being presented to create the two roundabouts to alleviate the problem of which I speak. And I thank you very much for your concern. You're doing a great job managing our city, and we appreciate it very much.
Is there anybody else? We've got some time. All right. I just have to say really quick, how proud I am of our Tucker Middle School students and our teachers. As a former middle school teacher, that just makes me so happy that you guys are excited about school and excited about what you're doing. So thank you for being here and sharing that with us as well. Very good. All right. Mayor's opening remarks. I already started, right? All right. So the city of Tucker approved 22 new occupational tax certificates in the month of January. 15 are commercial-based businesses and 6 are home-based. Last week was a big week for Tucker. And when we say big, we mean capital, B-I-G. We had so much going on last week, right? On Tuesday, we celebrated Tucker Day at the Capitol. We had lunch with our DeKalb delegation and our CIDs and Tucker Business Association. And we were honored with a House resolution celebrating our 10 years of incorporation. And it really was fun to be down there. Also, we were recognized on the Senate floor as well. So thanks to everybody who could join us. And I want to thank our staff, Team Tucker, for all of the hard work that went into putting on that event. It is not easy. It is not easy to be down at the Capitol. I also want to take the time to thank everybody. Your council had a retreat on Saturday. Yeah, we had a special called meeting, and it was a council retreat. And we didn't go far. We just went over to Clarkston. We went to their city hall, but just kind of remove yourself, right? And we had a great retreat, and I know everybody was tired after our long week, but everybody gave great effort and very hopeful, and we had good conversations, setting goals for the next year and getting ready for budget. I really want to thank our Assistant City Manager, Derek. Derek did a great job setting us up and getting us ready. We had a facilitator from the Carl Vinson Institute came to help us. It's always good to get some outside thoughts. We had some expert come in and help work with us. So it was really good, and I appreciate everybody taking that time after our big week. We also had, 2 ribbon cuttings last week too, and a soft opening for Jim and Nick. So there was a lot going on. We also found out that we were recipients of $850,000 of appropriation funding from Congressman Hank Johnson for our Greenway Connector Trail. This spur of the trail will cost around $6 million, and this award will start us off with an engineering plan and in the right direction. The good news is we can apply every year and for multiple projects. This $850,000 is Tucker's first award of appropriated funds. So thank you to staff that worked on the application, but a big thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Virginia Reese for really shepherding this project. So let's give everybody a round of applause for that too. A lot of fun stuff going on. And then just a few more things. Hey, it's Girl Scout season, right? I got my cookies. I ordered them. I didn't think they were coming yet, and they got delivered yesterday. Already ate half a box. So not gonna lie. Everybody's like, you can freeze them. I'm like, no, not in my house. We don't freeze those. We also want to say congratulations to Nico Thorpe from the Seattle Seahawks. He was a Tucker High School graduate, and he's a coach for, I see you smiling, a coach for the Seahawks. And so his big win last night, we're proud of him. And then last is Tucker High School basketball coach James Hartree. You know, he's going to retire this year. He had his last game, nearly 3 decades coaching the Tucker Tigers boys basketball, 550 wins. And, you know, he really turned that program around. So he was honored also Sunday by Congressman Johnson as well. He received a special award. And I love this. Somebody said, you know, he was built the program on hustle and honor. I like that, hustle and honor. So if you see him, and we're going to try to do something special for him before the school year ends. So we're working with Dr. Parker on that. So great job, everybody. Appreciate that. All right, we're going to move on to F, approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll motion to second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, we approve the agenda. Thank you. We've got a consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, very good. All right. All those in favor? All right, Bonnie, all of us. Just real quick, I want to say for the consent agenda, thanks to our friends at Georgia Power Company, because they're picking up some of the costs to move utilities at Mountain Industrial and Hugh Howell, right? No, yeah. So we want to thank them very, very much for doing that, because they didn't have to. Do some more of it. Yay. All right. We're going to move on to, we do not have any old business. So we're going to move on to I-1 under new business. Bonnie, you want to read that in for us?
We have ordinance O 2026-02-01. It's a first read of an ordinance to amend the Tucker Code, Chapter 30, offenses on loitering.
All right, Micah.
Good evening. Major Harden is, of course, here and did sort of a substantive presentation last week and some discussion there. So I'm here to sort of usher the process part of it a little more. And yeah, so excited to get started here. So just a quick review. We presented on February 2nd last week. This update to the code that is kind of that's in the first read here today will align with the March 2025 DeKalb County update to their code for the loitering ordinance. With the code change, there's a second piece that's rolling out, which is also called the Loitering Enforcement Authorization Program. So there's 2 pieces moving here kind of at the same time. There's the loitering ordinance, which is effectively like a 30-word change to the actual ordinance. It's a relatively small change if you guys had an opportunity to look that over in your packet. And then we've got the enforcement program, which is the part that I'm sure people will also be really interested to discuss. So real quick, I just want to cover some of the outcomes of the program. We're expecting improved coordination between DeKalb County Police and the City of Tucker and our CIDs and our private properties as we work together. DeKalb County officers will have an additional tool for preventative and proactive policing, which we're excited to offer them and have coordinate with them on. There's improved economic development as more businesses and private properties can opt into this program. And property owners would basically end up placing a no loitering sign prominently on their property, probably in a glass storefront or something of that nature. But this does not affect any changes in the guidelines for enforcement in the right of way. So anything about being on a public sidewalk is not affected at all by this change. I did receive one email with a couple of questions, and so I just wanted to kind of address what I thought was sort of the high-level clarifications for that. So what is the need to update the ordinance? The scope of the current ordinance leaves out some property types that would really like additional support. So when you look in there, like we added convenience stores as a category where loitering now applies. And so if someone wants to go inside and buy a drink or buy a soda and they go out to their car, but if they want to stay on property for an extended period of time and they're not purchasing anything, this gives convenience stores the opportunity to have loitering enforced on their property, which is just one additional helpful tool for them. And then who is this ordinance change and program for? The change and the program, it's for private businesses. Again, this loitering changes are only to designations of exact businesses and private property types. And then the program will only be for Tucker businesses. Well, DeKalb County businesses, but for our purposes, Tucker businesses. Just a quick review of the next steps. Obviously, we did the presentation and discussion at the last meeting. We're at a first read here, and then if everything were to move forward, we'd do a second read and a vote a month from now at the March 9th meeting. And then there's a couple action items at the bottom, one of which you can't read, so I'll read it from here because I can see it. But so the staff have already started making document changes. So in the drafts, you can see in the attachments for the overall agenda that there are some updated Tucker versions. We more or less kept 90% the same from what everything that DeKalb has been putting out to other people in the area. As you know, for when they're working on Incorporated DeKalb and they've rolled out this program, the documents align, but they now have Tucker colors and a Tucker emblem and maybe some different contact information in some places, but generally the same information. Then we'll have community and business outreach as we move forward with this program, and we try to coordinate with the police officers, and they have their own outreach teams as well, so working together on that. And then the bottom part that you can't see on the screen here is that Tucker staff hope to partner with our CIDs and other community organizations to get the word out and get participation up for the program. That's it. And so you got questions for me and also for the major who's here and available. Feel free to direct them.
Micah, for some folks who might not have heard this before, again, I want to reiterate that you did do a little bit more extensive at the work session. So I thank you and Major Harden. Okay, questions for Micah. Roger? Sorry.
That's okay. You're still calling me better than my wife does. I prefer Councilman Orlando at home.
Uh-oh, wear your name tag then.
Mike, I was intrigued and I was happy to see the standardization of signs. Is the standardization, both the makeout and the size, going to be part of the ordinance? Is it codified in there, or is it just something that floats loosely next to it?
Yeah, it's something that more flows loosely next to it. The officers have, basically asked, in their words, prominently placed sign that's easy to read. For our purposes, if it's going to have the emblem of the city of Tucker on it, we want it to be of a certain standard. And, there have already been discussions and feedback about, okay, do we want the same size sign everywhere? If you're going to have an industrial building that's, 80 feet off the road, and you're going to have Main Street where you're 4 feet off the road, does it need to be exactly the same size everywhere? There's some of those things we can grind through, but so there are a little more discussions to have, but what you saw in terms of the content of the sign that's on the attachments in the agenda is going to be standard.
Thank you.
I'm going to have Ted, I want you to say what you said at the work session so eloquently, please.
Well, this ordinance really just tracks the changes that were made to DeKalb's ordinance. It's similar to the state law that's written on loitering, and it mirrors a lot of other constitutional government ordinances. If you put too much in the ordinance, like requiring the signs and everything else, which are really a part of the program, you run the risk of making that an element of the offense that then has to be proven. And really the idea here is just to have loitering be loitering. So this is making it easier in the sense for the DeKalb County Police, who work in both the unincorporated area and the city, to remove the differences between the two ordinances so that they don't have to remember, wait, no, that's a convenience store. Can't tell them to ask them what they're doing because I'm in Tucker, that sort of thing. And the program stands on its own feet as a way they're approaching businesses both, anywhere in their jurisdiction, the DeKalb Police.
Did you want to add anything, Major Harden?
Just signage question. It's going to be universal because it's going to be issued by the city. So just like an unincorporated, all signage is issued by the county. So in incorporated, the city would be issuing it. That way there's unification on it. An officer won't see a crazy looking sign that's in pink in one location and in green in another location.
Right, and that was my concern. That's why I made the question, but we are issuing the signs, so they're going to be uniform.
Yeah, and they're building exterior signs, and so having a paper or something of that nature, it won't stand up. So we really just want to make sure that it doesn't degrade, that it's something that has a nice, solid, medium to long life, that sort of stuff.
And DeKalb has uniformly done their signs as well.
Bring one for the next read if it gets to that stage.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Weaver?
Thank you. I really appreciate the approach to having a uniform, again, approach across the county, and definitely understand how this makes this easier on law enforcement. I have a couple of questions about some of the details. So, and I read the ordinance, I see what causes there to be a violation, but not what the consequence of the violation is. But I see the sign says violators will be prosecuted. So I want to understand a little bit, what are we talking about around this consequence? What level of consequence are we talking about?
And I think clarify too that it's the same thing now, whether we adopt this or not, right?
Correct. There's no change substantively to that portion of the law, and Ted can speak to what would happen in the court proceedings. But that how it's applied, consequence, so to speak, to how your violator is prosecuted is going to depend on the situation. Not every time that we encounter someone, not unlike a traffic stop, you get pulled over for speeding, you violated the law, you were speeding, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a ticket. It also doesn't mean you're not going to get a warning ticket, or you might get an actual ticket, or you might be arrested, depending on the severity of the situation. So each case will be handled independently. I mentioned in the work session last time that we offer a wide range of services to include frontline for our unhoused, various other things I think most of council is familiar with. So it isn't just a citation or arrest, but it can be either of those things.
I'm wondering if, again, for the next one, we could have, again, even though I know it's not the update, but having an understanding, Ted, of what those levels are, again, like where it's a ticket, where it's a fine, where it's something more substantial than that would be helpful. Okay.
Almost all of our code violations default to the standard general punishment in the beginning of the code in section 1, around 1-8 of the city code. They provide for a maximum of $1,000 fine or up to 6 months in prison. And that's guidance from state law. That's what most municipal ordinances are subject to that. As your prosecuting attorney and wearing two hats as the attorney, I would never recommend a 6 months jail sentence for someone on a loitering fine, nor do I think any of our judges would ever impose it. A lot of folks who are going to be charged with loitering are what I call verdict proof. They don't have any money. They were loitering because they have nowhere to go. And so unless they are, do something to get arrested, they're upset, they're intoxicated, they're fighting with a police officer. Even then, a lot of times they're not going to be arrested. So a lot of times we just, if someone is arrested, they spend a day in jail, we're going to credit time served if they choose to plead. But the reason you see that language about 6 months is that means the sentence can be probated. So if the judge wants to send them to some kind of program or have them check in and thinks that might be effective, you can probate that sentence in lieu of incarceration. That's often what's done.
Thank you. That's helpful. I have a sort of a follow-up question to that, because I know we've been in some community meetings before, and again, I know it's what we have and we're just clarifying language, but since it's in front of us, I think it's important to talk about intent and how we understand what we are trying to solve for, what the original intent was. So we were in a meeting last summer, or a year and a half summer ago, where there were some people who were not the business owners or property owners, but just extraordinarily concerned citizens requesting for them to be able to report loitering to DeKalb County PD. And so I'd like to just hear your thoughts on, again, the distinction between how we think about what maybe looks uncomfortable versus how we define and think about what we mean by loitering.
So I think it just begs to make the reiteration of the points. It doesn't actually change anything that is already currently in law. There's always a state law to fall back on, all these kinds of things. Anybody can call 911 for anything. And believe me, they do. Everything from little Johnny didn't go to school today to a homicide. We rarely get the ones from the STEM students and how well they did in class, but we'd like to take those calls as well. So someone absolutely can call and say, there's 4 people loitering out in front of, Matthews that is closed, and they have a sign that says no loitering. Fine. That creates a call in the system, and it gets prioritized and it gets answered like every other 911 call. So nothing is going to stop that from happening. The presence of the signage is simply more of a bit of teeth for us to say, Alexis, you can't be here, right? There's no loitering here. Why are you here? Well, I don't have anywhere to go. Okay, I understand that. So let me help you. We've got frontline services. We have this, we have that. Would you like to take any of those things? Unfortunately, very often the answer is, I have no interest in service. Okay, fine. I understand. You still can't be here. This is not lawful to loiter here, period. You have to leave. And then they are given that opportunity to leave. If they choose not to leave, that's what escalates things to the next level. But it is essentially the presence of a penal code that can help to kind of enforce that, to say, you can't be here. As it stands, if they don't leave, we would have to have that business come in at 2:00 in the morning to say, yeah, I told you on the phone I didn't want them here. Well, you have to be here because you're going to be the one that has to sign the warrant for the criminal trespass rather than a loitering ordinance. So anybody can still call, and people's motives are not always honorable. But that's why we investigate. That's why we have that call. We have our training. We have our experience. And that's why we go out and we assess the situation. I don't just take Kara's word that Alexis is loitering. I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me what you're doing and why you're doing it. You just may simply not know. You're not allowed to be in the park after dark. It doesn't mean that I'm going to arrest you for being in the park after dark, but it's still technically a code violation that can result in your arrest.
That's helpful. I have one other question, sorry. And I know I wasn't here, so thank you for your patience.
No, not at all. I'm looking at myself in the thing here, and I haven't seen this side of me in a while, and it's much better than the other side.
The other I think area of discussion that this has come up around has been to speak to students' behavior, and so I am curious, sort of. I'm just going to name. We are very explicitly talking about unhoused people in this conversation. I don't know that that's the intent of this specifically, but when we are talking about the rationale, what is coming up is unhoused people.
Okay.
So, but I also know there have been multiple conversations about teenagers spending time, their free time, and how they are spending it. And so I would just like to have a little bit of an understanding of how this applies in those situations. Like, is it one size fits all, I guess, in terms of if you're loitering and the business says you're loitering, that's sort of the starting point.
So I think it's important to remember justice is blind. It is what it is. If you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law, right? There's statutes and how things are applied, and Ted can speak a heck of a lot more intelligently on that than I can. But as far as our application to it, I don't particularly care if you're 16 or 68, right? If you're violating the law and it is causing a problem, then you're violating the law. If you're 16 and you're driving drunk, you're still driving drunk. If you're 30, you're driving drunk, you're driving drunk. I think I have an idea of kind of what you're talking about, and I know we've experienced in the past on Main Street, the kids coming out of Tucker High. There's no intent in this law to target any individual, any social group, any economic class, none of those things. It is simply to assess behavior. So students coming up there are already a common complaint. I'm sure Matt could talk on the business owners that have complained to him about that as well in the CID, and how they really hate the kids coming in for instance, Village Burger, and you've got 15 kids sitting in booths and haven't ordered so much as a Coke, that's not really how this is applied. That's trespassing within the building, and we would get a call, which we currently do, from property ownership that are already there, and they'd say they have to leave. And we're gonna walk over and say, hey, guys, you gotta go. There's a business owner there, there's a proprietor there. We don't need any of this for that particular piece because there is an entity there. But what it also does is there are places, convenience stores who have made statements that they're kind of afraid to be the one to call because they're afraid of retribution. So we can see these things occurring and we can take a proactive step to say, hey guys, you see that sign that says you can't be here, dude. What's going on? What are you doing? I'm just having a Coke waiting on my mom. I just bought it. Okay, great. Well, have a nice day. When's your mom getting here? Can I get you a ride? We're not gonna provide that ride, but we can talk about it. So no, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you're acting within the confines of the law, you are going to be fine. The statute doesn't change, and one of the key points of this that I've always stressed is you're given the opportunity to leave and dispel your reason for being there. Just as simple as that. You cannot skip that step. It has to happen. I can't just walk up and because there's a sign, arrest you. Now, if I walk up and there's the sign that said you can't be here, and you leave, and an hour later I come back and you're there again, okay, we're done. You've had your warning and you're back. That's the way it works. So it's not a target at any particular class of people at all. We actually hope that in some of these cases it alleviates. I know Matt talked about some of the other agencies have had some successes in the past with it. We are seeing some successes outside in the unincorporated area. We're just the presence because we know we can go there. We know that we can be more present for it. And we have something to do other than just say, hey, you can't be here. And they go, yeah, whatever. Because they know that that property owner is never coming at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're not going to answer our phone calls. We may not even know who it is. So this kind of alleviates some of those pieces. And it is incumbent on the property to participate in it. We don't go around and put these signs up. Now that is the city.
Could you talk a little bit about our friends who like to do street racing and they like to gather, and this could be a tool for us to help with that as well.
This is supposed to be about loitering, not street racing.
But
No,
they're, they're
joking.
loitering before.
Yeah, so we have had some, and what is communicated to you all is not always the same thing communicated to us, of course. But in instances of street racing, of course, they have to gather somewhere, at some point. A lot of it is done through third-party apps, WhatsApp, social media, whatever, and they can kind of meet in places. But generally, they've met somewhere and they ride in a group. So if 50 cars are in the parking lot of the BP, that's a problem. You're not 50 cars getting gas, and you're not in line unless we've got some big incident that's coming where it's lined down the street trying to get gas before a winter storm. That's not usually what's happening. That is loitering. And in those situations, those are business owners that claim, well, I would call, but I'm worried that they're going to do this. So if they have that stuff posted, we can go out there and make that presence known and say, y'all can't be here. What are you doing? But again, same incident, same thing comes up. You all need to leave. They're going to leave. As soon as we drive down the street, they're going to peel out like crazy people. But it does provide that teeth to do that.
Any questions down here? Everybody's good? Okay, well, that was a first read, so we'll see you all again the beginning of March. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Bonnie, I-2.
We have Resolution R 2026-02-05, consideration of a resolution to amend the FY 2026 budget.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is just a budget amendment for a few items that were not budgeted. One is a contract that is later in the agenda for approval. One is a part of the consent agenda that was just passed. And then another one is just for the new fee schedule for the Parks and Rec Department for their new 70-30 split that was approved, I think, 2 months ago. It was like 2 or 3 months ago. So the first couple of lines in here for the energy efficient windows is a grant that we were approved for. Obviously, that was money we did not budget for, and there's an expense to install those. So that is just the increase in the revenue and the expense for those. The last 2 items is for the MIB at Hugh Howell grant. The revenue of that was, I guess, GDOT, I think Ishri could confirm whether GDOT approved more than what the previous amount that we had on budget. So this increase is just increasing that revenue coming in and the expense that will be going out as well for that. And then all the stuff in between is just all the Parks and Rec, the new programming and the split with the instructors for the 70-30 split, or 80-20, depending on which one they're signed up for. Any questions?
Questions? I'll go down here this time. No questions? No questions? You look like you had a sigh of relief there. All right. So, all right. No questions. Can I get a motion? Anybody want to make a motion on that?
I will make a motion to approve Resolution R 2026-02-05.
And I'll second that motion.
All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I3, this one's mine. You want to read that in, Bonnie?
We have Resolution R 2026-02-06, consideration of a resolution to appoint a member to the DeKalb County Women's Commission.
Yay, thank you very much. So last December, DeKalb County Board of Commissioners unanimously adopted an ordinance amending the code of DeKalb County to establish the DeKalb County Women's Commission. It's going to be an advisory board charged with providing recommendations to the Board of Commissioners, the Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, department heads, looking at policies and strategies that support the well-being and advancement of women and girls throughout the DeKalb County. They're going to focus on areas like health equity, wage inequity, employment barriers, housing stability, safety and security, and those things that enhance the quality of life. So each municipality located fully or partially within DeKalb gets to make one appointee to the commission. And I was proud to play a role in establishing this Women's Commission through the request of Commissioner Michelle Long Spears. And we also had another Tucker resident, Beverly Eccles, who's in the audience tonight, who was also on the steering committee that began December 2024. Beverly's also a DeKalb County Chamber member and has more than 25 years of experience in real estate, finance, and business leadership. And she, like I said, was a founding member, so I'm confident that she will be able to advance the vision of this committee and represent Tucker well. So I'm going to make a motion asking you guys to consider adopting Resolution 2026-0-2-06, appointing Tucker resident Beverly Eccles to the DeKalb County Women's Commission.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion on that?
I didn't know she was sitting out there. I was going to have someone write this down because I was going to say good things about her. I got to tell you, I've been on the board of directors for the Smoke Rise Country Club for 8 to 10 years, and Ms. Eccles just joined it, and I get winded watching her work as a brand new board member, and you get action out of her and not just discussion in words, and it's always very deep and smart and thought-forward words. So I'm definitely in support of that choice, Mayor.
Anybody else?
I'm really excited about this. Beverly, of course, lives in District 1, and so as a direct District 1 representative, it's really exciting to see her be lifted up in this opportunity, and I agree with Roger. I may not see all the energy going on over there at the country club, but I see the energy out in the community, and she's got heart and soul, and I'm just really happy for her to have this opportunity.
All right. Anybody else?
I wanted to add that I am just appreciative of, yes, Ms. Eccles, and also DeKalb County as they are starting to do more of these types of things. One, I am appreciative of being included as a city, and then I am also appreciative of us and under your leadership, Mayor, being responsive to those things, and for us really like moving towards this collaboration. And so I'm very happy that we have someone who is going to represent Tucker and be able to engage in that way.
Excellent. All right, we ready to take a vote? All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, very good, Bonnie. That's all of us. Beverly, would you like to come say anything? You don't have to. You can. And we want to thank you for accepting.
Well, and thank you, everybody. I'm Beverly Eccles, and I'm very honored and appreciative for the mayor for nominating me for that. And we were on the initial steering committee, and I think it's going to be a wonderful asset in DeKalb County to have this DeKalb County Women's Commission that was unanimously approved back in December. And so again, and thank you, City Council, City of Tucker, for all the great work that you guys are doing. And again, I appreciate the nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. And I will send that in. I had a call from Commissioner Spears last night to say we were the first ones to get this done. So she was excited about that, and I'll get all the paperwork and make sure that you are official by the end of the evening. So thank you, everybody. All right, Bonnie, I-4.
We have Resolution R 2026-02-07, consideration of a resolution to appoint a member to the DeKalb County Housing Working Group.
All right, so this is another one I'm presenting to you all. DeKalb County is initiating its first ever comprehensive housing plan. It's a countywide effort that will serve as a long-term blueprint for housing affordability, supply, and preservation challenges while supporting existing residents and attracting new ones. This group is going to play a critical role in shaping the plan for providing policy insight, raising key concerns, testing ideas, and serving as a bridge between the planning team and the wider community. The group is intentionally designed to be diverse, with membership including county leadership, housing authorities, public sector partners, regional and state agencies, judicial and public safety partners, private sector organizations, and financial institutions. And they are looking for people to be visionary. They're going to goal set and have community engagement design of this study. Once again, we're very grateful that DeKalb listened to mayors from last year when they all got together to have a planning retreat, and housing was the #1 issue that everybody talked about. So they are really working on collaborating not only across the county, but with their city partners as well. So I'm recommending, as we heard earlier, Councilmember Weaver for this role based on her expertise, leadership, and connection to housing-related policy, planning, funding, and delivery, but not only in DeKalb and Tucker, but across our country, because you do a lot of that in your role, in your day job, I call it, right? And she will give the mayor and council periodic updates about this working group, and I know we'll have some more of this to come. So I'm going to make the motion, actually. I'm the mayor. I'm going to make the motion to consider adopting Resolution 2026-02-07, appointing Councilmember Weaver to the DeKalb County Housing Working Group.
Second.
Oh, I see lots of people reaching for seconds. Amy was. Everybody's second. Yay. Very good. Excellent. Thank you. Any comments?
Well, again, perfectly appointed for this particular situation. I wish I knew just an eighth of the knowledge that Alexis has when it comes to housing. And I think it's going to be such an asset to have her be able to speak for the housing working group, but also bring that back to us. And Tucker's voice will be part of the conversation, which is a wonderful thing. And I'm just really excited for Councilmember Weaver to serve in this capacity. Her knowledge is deep and wide, and I think it's just going to be a real asset. So,
Anybody else? Any other discussion? All right. Excellent. Very good. So we'll take a vote and then I'll ask, if you can speak now if you'd like, Councilwoman Weaver. Go ahead.
Well, I really appreciate this confidence in me. I'm like, it's February. It's like a love fest that I wasn't totally expecting. But I will say I'm very, very excited, and I know I've had conversations with I think everybody up here about my view that the solutions to housing affordability are actually very straightforward and very well tested. And it is unfortunate that we are in the crisis that we are at because it has to do with political will. And I think that this is such a excellent, tangible way of expressing political will to make a difference and make a change. I'm very excited about the fact that this is a true working group. I know the mayor had mentioned in all of the, seems like dozens of requests you got like the day after the election for these things. This question of, is this a figurehead or is this a workhorse? And I'm really excited that this is a workhorse, and don't know a lot yet because it is very new, but I'm really glad that we have a seat at this table. You know, it's important. I think it's going to inform the things that we do in the city of Tucker. I am committed to all of you to being very diligent about sharing back what is being said, representing us as a body and as a city, and finding the ways that, you know, we put our own particular Tucker needs into the plan. But we all know that these kinds of challenges don't stop at borders. And so I'm very, very grateful. I am very grateful to be able to tap into the expertise and experience that I have and be able to bring that back to our community. So thank you for your trust.
All right. Let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor? You can vote for yourself. It's okay. Yeah. If you don't vote for you, who will? Come on. All right. Very good, Bonnie. That's unanimous. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. We got one more resolution. This one comes from me and Council Member Weaver. We were asked by Habitat for Humanity DeKalb. You know, they are located in Tucker. They're right downtown. And Sharon Steele reached out. So they have an application for the Community Home Investment Program funding to provide critical home rehabilitation services for low and moderate income homeowners. And I'll let Councilwoman Weaver speak in a minute on that. But I did say, you know, it's no fiscal impact to us. We're not paying for any of this. They needed somebody to have a resolution to provide support for this, but it will impact in a good way our community and all of DeKalb as well. So I don't know if you wanted to talk more about the program. Oh, shoot, Bonnie, you got to read it in. I was so excited. Dang. Go ahead, Bonnie.
We have Resolution R 2026-02-08. This is consideration of a resolution to support Habitat for Humanity DeKalb's application for Community Home Investment Program, CHIP, funding to provide critical home rehabilitation services for low and moderate income homeowners.
Thank you. You can just yell at me next time, Bonnie. It's okay. Councilwoman Weaver.
Do you want to make the motion and second first, or do you want me to just present it? Like, I can present it. That's fine. I was just going to add, one of the things about this program that I think is so important is, this is a federally funded program that the county is the administrator for. So the county already has this funding. There is a particular type of funding that is specific to the organizations that are just like Habitat for Humanity. One of the things that they named, that's named in our resolution, is that they are a certified aging in place specialist. I know that that's been something that's very, very important to the city of Tucker. We are, have had all of these recognitions and awards about being an age-friendly city. all, memory to Lois Ritchie. And so, one, I think being able to support this organization, which is, it's a nonprofit, but it is a business, right? That is in the city of Tucker, in their application to the county to get this funding and get this support, is really important just from a value statement. But I think on top of that, it's going to also open up hopefully even more doors and relationships and partnership opportunities for how we can work with Habitat specifically as an organization within the city, but also maybe other organizations in the future. But I'm very happy that we can offer this to help them, get this funding from the county.
And one thing I've read to say, there's a wait list of over 700 families right now in DeKalb County waiting for some assistance. So it's like roofs, HVACs, water heaters, plumbing, even just grab bars like in the shower, like things that we don't think about or things that we take for granted. So, I'm happy they reached out to us and that they do have this program, but it is important for them to get the additional funding. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2026-02-08.
And I will second.
All right. Any other discussion on this? Any other discussion? All right. Well, yeah.
I just had two little questions. One is, what is the income cap assistance? Because I saw that it said lower income and middle income.
I don't know their program specifications, but I mean, I think they kind of work through what that means. I'm going to guess there's also a sliding scale. I know Councilmember Schroeder and I were talking today about I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to do more on our part too around figuring out some of these things for seniors and things like that. So they have their way of kind of looking through, and there are some federal, guidelines and requirements that they have to meet. So, but it's not just here's a nice shiny new, I think that's what they're trying to get at. It's not, I need my garage door fixed and I'm
Yeah. And I believe that. I just was curious. And this is about the CHIP program as well. So I don't know if it would apply, but how does it, I was really curious about how the resolution of support, how it helps with the backlog, because I was astounded there's over 700. How does this help?
So I don't think our resolution does that. I think it's our resolution is part of a packet that they submit to get the CHIP funding. And if you have more of the CHIP funding, then they can provide for more people.
Yeah, I think it's showing the commitment that they are a trusted community partner, that we have the the backing of us as this is something that we're willing to put our whole city name before, which is why it's more important that it be an actual resolution versus just one of us or all of us writing individual letters that say this is a good thing. So but I'm wondering if once it gets through the process, if we have an opportunity, maybe they can come and talk more about their program, because I think, again, to the conversation we were just talking about, I think it would be great for us to have more information and our team to have more information about ways that we can help residents get into these programs and what other organizations like that are out there.
And Sharon apologizes. She's in DC. They're having big meetings up there for funding as well. A lot of the Habitat groups are up there. So she was not able, and she did say she would send somebody, but I don't know if I see anybody in the audience here from Habitat, DeKalb Habitat. Okay. She thought about sending somebody, but they might not have been able to come. So, and we can do that during a work session as well. All right. We ready for a vote? Okay. All those in favor? Let me see a sign. All right, Bonnie. 7-0. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on. What are we moving on to next? Oh, moving on to Micah. You're coming back, Bonnie. You want to read the contract in for us?
We have contract C 2026-02-PO 26-01252, consideration of a contract for energy efficiency window replacements at the Tucker Recreation Center.
All right. I didn't even do slides for this tonight because the memo is all there is to know. We started this process over 2.5 years ago. So basically we received a notice that we were eligible for some free energy efficiency vouchers. So there were 15 categories of potential things. A lot of them were building improvements or vehicle fleet improvements, that sort of thing. And the amount that we're awarded is based strictly on population. So that information is publicly available. Every city, every municipality was given one of these allocations. So at the time, we were, the information was due by July 1st, 2023, so it's a long ways back. At the time, we did not have any vehicles owned by the city of Tucker, so there was no efficiency gains there, and the only facility we had was the Tucker Recreation Center. So when we were looking at what the city was eligible to use at that time, we ended up settling on the cafeteria and the rec center as the best space for an energy improvement because it's just a giant wall of glass. It's the biggest seep of energy, so it should help bring down the energy bills in that building after it's installed. We were awarded $76,430, and we got as close as we could in terms of using that value. So the contract before you is for $74,945, and we will unfortunately, forfeit the last 1% because it's a voucher. We didn't receive the money. We're going to receive a reimbursement for the invoice, but we got as close as we could. And I thank you to the federal government for having a voucher program. These kinds of block grants are the easiest way to fund local government, and they don't do it very often. So, yeah. Any questions?
I have a real quick question. Is that funding still available? Because that came from a prior administration that was focused on sustainability. And I know that some grants have been taken away, like at my work. So I'm just curious if we're pretty sure we will get reimbursed and it's still there for funding.
The portal is still up. And so when I go and interact with that, it seems to be correct still. And I haven't received any notifications. I would have expected to receive an email from the person who confirmed our award to say that your award has been revoked in some way. So no, neither of those two things have happened. But
I would just ask that we have something specific in an email or something from somebody, a person, just because I'm experiencing this with energy grants in my career field. So I just want to make sure we're not going to spend something before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Would it be appropriate for you to approve on that contingency and have me provide that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying we can approve it, but I just want to make sure that we are really sure before we spend that money on these windows for Tucker Rec.
Absolutely.
Questions down here? No? All right. Questions? Councilman Weaver?
I just had the follow-up. It's as much as like, is there the potential for there to be like a clawback or something later? So I think it would be helpful to have a contingency plan should something like that occur, because I think the windows are a really good thing. But just being like mindful about some scenario planning. And kind of my follow-up to that is just about the windows specifically. What is the kind of, when we talk about this install, what's the lifetime? Like how long are we sort of thinking we're going to have an impact from that?
Yeah, I would have to look at the warranty on them. I know that it's long, and I'd need to look at it to confirm for you. I think I don't want to get it wrong. But yeah, I mean, the windows that are there have been there for 70 years, and we're putting in something nicer than that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll look at that. I thought it might be on the bid documentation on one of the pages that there was a warranty period at least, but I think they would last much longer even than a warranty period. But yeah.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Councilwoman Troche, would you make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract C2026-02-PO 26-01252.
I get a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Any other discussion? All right. Motion's been made and seconded. Can I see a sign for approval? All right. All approved, none opposed. Thank you, Bonnie. Let's move on to I-7.
We have contract C 2026-TS-CID-MOU-PO 26-01274 This is consideration of an agreement for reimbursement to the Tucker Summit Community Improvement District for the improvements made at the intersection at Lewis Road and Rock Mountain Boulevard.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Ishri.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for your time tonight in advance. The item in front of you is an agreement between the Tucker Summit CID and the City of Tucker for roadway improvements at Rock Mountain and Lewis Road. Essentially, over the years, that intersection, it's really an L. There's no controlled stop or no traffic signal. It's really just a very sharp right angle turn. That intersection deteriorated. Trucks ran over the existing curbs. The drainage structures were crushed, and it just got beat up, is the bottom line. So the Tucker Summit CID and the neighboring businesses recognized that project, and in collaboration with the city's engineering department, they went out to bid for an engineer, and that was designed and reviewed by our engineering department here at the City of Tucker. And in the fiscal year 2026 budget, this line item did get approved as part of that budget process. Basically, the CID was taking the charge on this project, and the City of Tucker agreed in a handshake agreement to reimburse the city with a 33% reimbursement. During that process, we're happy to say that the CID also received some funding from DeKalb County. So in the memo, they received $40,439 from DeKalb County for those improvements. The overall contract for the construction was $211,660.71. We have confirmed that that contractor has been paid the final amounts, and we are comfortable going into this agreement as staff, or recommending this as staff, in order to reimburse the Tucker Summit CID for the city's responsibility of 33% or $56,503.16.
All right, any questions? Questions? All right, pretty straight. Oh, Roger?
No.
Okay, go ahead. You want to make a motion? Anybody? This is
Okay,
District
yeah.
1.
I'd make a motion to approve contract C2026-TSCID-MOU-P 26-01274.
Second.
Yeah, the MOU. I was like, MOUSC. Remember that, Mickey Mouse? All right, that's what it made me think of. Going a little retro there. All right. Any discussion on the motion? All right, motion's made and seconded. All those in favor? All right. None opposed. Thank you, Bonnie. And then next, Ishri, you're up again, I-8.
We have contract C 2025-017-PO26-1272. Consideration of a contract for the construction of 2 roundabouts on Idlewood Road, which are Fellowship Road and SAR Parkway.
Thank you, Bonnie, and thank you again for your time. As mentioned, this is a contract to award the construction of these roundabouts on Idlewood Road, one at Fellowship and one at SAR Parkway. Engineering has gone through rigorous design and public outreach to bring this to you tonight. So just a little bit of background. Both of these roadways, or all 3 of these roadways, Idlewood, Fellowship, and SAR Parkway, are all major collectors for the city. These are pretty significant roads for the city. There's currently traffic signals at both intersections and some very undesirable skews. You can see from these images, a desirable skew is a direct 90 degrees, so you have equal sight distance on both sides of the intersection. On these, they are very undesirable, and in some instances, you're looking over your left shoulder to make a decision to go forward, and that's very unsafe. And additionally, there's their congestion is just inefficient, not the safest decision in today's standards. So what is proposed is taking a look at the Idlewood Road at Fellowship. This is a single lane roundabout with multiple or 4-leg approaches, 2 lanes on each side. And what's important to note here is this one includes raised crosswalks. So that will slow cars down. Unless they want to tear their car up, we'll slow them down as they enter into the intersection or the roundabout. That forces them to slow down. It gives pedestrians some more time to react if there is a potential accident to occur. Additionally, by slowing down, it reduces the impacts of a vehicular accident should one happen. There's always going to be accidents. You can't plan for no accidents, but roundabouts have been proven to reduce the significance of a accident should it occur. The next proposed is at SAR Parkway, and this one is a little bit simpler, three-leg approach with single lanes, with the exception of SAR Parkway having multiple lanes approaching the intersection. There was some property here from the school, and we're happy to work with the school, and they donated that to the city, so that was a huge win as well from them. We appreciate their partnership on that project, or on that part of this project as well. So we went out to a competitive bid on this, and ITB 2025-009, I'm sorry, that's not the right one. That's some error on my behalf, sorry. Went out to competitive bid, and this came back at $2.5 million, $2,469,104.75. We are asking for a 5% contingency, or $123,455.25, for a total purchase order amount of $2,592,600 even. And kind of the next steps are the schedules. The contract includes a 365-day calendar day contract language for SAR Parkway, so we're hoping that they get started and completed there. Again, maximizing our efficiency and time with the school being out during the summer months. We want to be as least disruptive to that school as we can, just because it's closer. We are aware of the other schools in proximity of Fellowship, but that one is closer, and considering bus movements and things like that through construction. The other is 540 concurrent days for Fellowship. So they can ultimately opt to have both of these under construction at the same time. I don't want to give false hope or false representation to you all or the general public that, you know, they're going to do one and get it all finalized. Part of this bidding process did include the economy of scale by doing both of them at the same time. Ken and his engineers has looked at the numbers, and there was no real reason to do one versus the other first. So we're offering the contractor to do these both at the same time. And really it's beneficial to the residents and the city, both for cost and scheduling. You know, when you have a concrete crew here, you have a concrete crew here. You're not waiting them to leave and then come back. Or that goes for any crew. I want to talk a little bit about construction. Our standard hours are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. for construction. They cannot close a lane before 9 a.m. or after 4 p.m. So we're just trying to get traffic through these construction sites as efficiently as possible. Again, I'm not going to pretty it up, but it is going to be disruptive. But we just have to ask for everyone's patience throughout this construction and keep a safe and convenient, or not as convenient as possible, construction zone. And they may consider asking for extended work hours. Usually I grant that on a case-by-case basis, depending on schedule, weather, and things like that. But they would have to ask for that and get approval from us. And the next steps, we've gone through some extensive research with staff, and we think we'll mail out some letters to the folks off Idlewood, and put out some updates on our website and social media. We'll have a public information meeting. Again, that's just an information meeting. They can meet the construction team, ask any questions, but this is not a time for input at that meeting. I mean, the design is 100% complete. And then we'll move happily into construction. And after that, everyone gets to enjoy and maintain 2 new roundabouts for the city of Tucker. It's pretty exciting. There are some cities out in our neighboring jurisdictions that do not have any roundabouts, so it'll be pretty neat for Tucker to boast that. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you may have.
I'm not going to tell you that I got in an accident in the Caymans in a roundabout because I was driving.
Not a
You had
good
to drive
sign.
on the wrong side of the road, and then your steering wheel was on the other side. It was not pretty.
We'll
That won't
blame-
happen here, though. I'll
We'll-
stay
we'll
on.
blame that.
I promise. I'll be driving on the right side of the road. All right. Down here.
I was going to defer to the District
Yep.
2 first.
Sure.
Sure.
Councilman.
You know, I've worked with the engineering team on this over the last like 2 years. So I don't have too many questions. Outside of the amount, 2.5, I think is a phenomenal amount or bid price. Can you tell us how much we budgeted for?
We budgeted close to 4 million, and I'll look at Eric, our finance team. Yep.
Yeah. So thank you for the engineering team for doing a lot of hard work there and saving the city a considerable amount of money. I'll talk more about this later, but this is the first time I won't have any nitpicks because this has been a very long process.
He's going to be an engineer before we're done. Transportation engineer.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's a lot of AI.
All right. It's going to replace all of us. Okay. Councilwoman Schroeder.
Thank you, Ishri, for bringing this to us. And it's very good news about the budget. There's no doubt. I think the North-South Connector Street study maybe noted this at almost 8 million. And so that is certainly a good step in the right direction. I have a couple questions about how we are going to communicate this. I know that you had one of your slides just kind of mentioning what the plans are. What I was hoping also and maybe it is a given, but can you communicate how we're going to try to keep everybody up to date on what's happening? I was kind of envisioning we would have some updates on the website every couple weeks. You might have a QR code. What are your thoughts about that?
I would defer that to communications. I mean, I can feed you as much information as you want, but getting it in layman's terms and out there is not my expertise.
We are happy to post updates as they are provided.
Okay, great. Because I know that a lot of the neighbors who live inside those neighborhoods are super nervous about how this is going to work because they're already sitting in backlog, right? And then if we start moving dirt and cement and some of that. So I really would like to make sure that we are connected also to those HOAs because there are 3 along this little section in between the 2 roads. So if you don't mind doing that for me, I'd appreciate it. And we can have another conversation with comms about that as well.
Yeah, I
So-
would probably say too, as the council people in that district, if you get information, you have email lists and social media channels and the connection to those HOAs. So I would say you all, if you want to have that level of directness, I would say you all take care of that. Whereas communications would take care of general for the city.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mind sending weekly updates to the council members.
Okay, that's perfect.
Very detailed weekly.
Is that what you were going to say, Mr. McHenry? Because you were waving at me and I wasn't sure if you were just waving or.
Well, just waving, but also just we didn't talk much about the public information meeting, but we had a very successful meeting about the dams projects when those moved forward. And I think this is going to be another great opportunity for us. We'll have awarded the bid. We'll have a strong idea of exactly what the schedule is going to be like, what kind of detours are going to take place. And it'll be just a great opportunity to really meet with the public and share what we're doing because these are really exciting projects. They're something that the community has asked for and we're really excited about delivering them. So that public meeting will be a big part, a big push for getting that information out.
Great. Okay. Thank you. And then what about the timeline? I know that you were talking in another conversation we had earlier. Can you just kind of maybe talk about what might happen the next 6 months, next 3 months, just so that everybody kind of has an understanding of how much time it's going to take and what happens when?
Yeah, so if this gets approved tonight, the contractor is probably going to start in about a month. But they're starting not on heavy construction. I'd like to break it out into like a couple of phrases. So first, there's going to be utility relocation. I'm about to laugh because I remember you asking about materials testing, and I went, yeah. So they'll start out in utility phase where all the utilities need to get out of the way for the city's infrastructure, and that usually takes about 3 to 4 months. That may relocate some overhead lines, may relocate some underground lines, may change some of the design a little bit on the underground stormwater should there be something found in the way. So that'll take about 3 or 4 months, and then you'll start seeing some of the heavy digging. That's where they're gonna start excavating large channels for the stormwater pipes and digging up the old roadbed and things like that. And then shortly after that, they'll start putting it back together. Once everything underground is under place, say about 6 to 8 months in, you'll see things coming back together. That's where the heavy traffic control would come into place because they're pouring curb. They're working directly where the vehicles would be traveling at that time. So you'll see lane closures, traffic control. And during the day while they're working, they'll have human flaggers. At night times, they'll have cones and barrels set up. I would like to request that they use the lighted cones or barrels, but I can't really make them. That's not a standard request, but we'll see on how well they get there. But again, during the day, there will be flaggers, so heavy traffic. During construction, there will be flaggers out there. So that's 6 to 8 months. And then 8 to 12 months, it'll be the final stages of or button up, doing the landscaping, the concrete, the sidewalk, the sign installations and things like that.
Great. And then when it comes to signage, and the education just about the roundabouts, I did see, the standing, crosswalk signage for people to push and cross, but will we also have signage to help people in vehicles know kind of how to go and how to
Oh,
figure
yeah.
out what
Yeah,
to do?
every leg of the intersection will have a street name sign so that you know where to exit.
Okay.
So you're trying to get onto a particular street in the center of the roundabout, there are street name signs to tell you, hey, if you want to go to Fellowship, you need to make a right here.
Okay. And during the construction process, I heard something, I wrote it down, and then I wasn't sure. We're not going to close both lanes ever, right? It will be one lane or the other on Idlewood for the most part?
I can't promise that, no.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, again, that goes back to means and methods for the contractor. They could say they can close it for one day versus managing lanes for 1 week. I would say that's a win to close it for one day and detour folks around than trying to manage that lane closure for a week.
So we're going to have to really keep focused on communicating with the neighbors.
Yeah, definitely. If there's a road closure like that, both lanes, then we would definitely coordinate that at least 3 days in advance. That's just the industry standard, or longer if we can.
Okay.
But I would plan on multiple flagger days where lanes are closed. I mean, that's going to be a pretty standard part of the process, as lanes are going to be closed throughout the process.
All right. Okay.
All right, Councilwoman Troche, because you deferred, I'm going to go to you next.
Thank you. Councilwoman Schroeder covered one of ours because you did call out that it's the first roundabout here and we don't have many surrounding us. So I think we'll want to get creative and maybe, I know Courtney's not here to say, signs. But we'll probably want to go overboard, I would think, and even like painting words on the, pavement leading up to, probably go overboard at least until it settles in, because not all of our communications are going to be read by the people who are using it. Because if we focus on Tucker and people are traveling through, they're not necessarily following all of our Facebook pages and all that stuff. So we'll talk with Courtney and say we're cool with going a little overboard on signage. But that's a long way away. So we're good with that.
Yeah, if I can comment on that, again, these are designed with a lot of signs already built in that are permanent signs.
Okay.
But in other places, we've done like references to very good, there's already a FHWA guidance out there on how to use a roundabout.
Yeah. Okay.
How to exit a roundabout, how to enter a roundabout, things like that.
Yeah. And
I'll
these
teach 'em.
and these do look like manageable ones. Over Christmas break, we visited somewhere and it had like 3 lanes and that was very complicated, but these are much more manageable. You get off where you're going to get off. You don't have to cross less lanes. I love the raised crosswalks because I did have a note about having some physical indications that they're coming up on the roundabout. So the raised crosswalk is fantastic. I want to call out school communication with the school district. That would probably not necessarily need to fall on Ben and Kara. So we'll probably want to let them know when there's lane
I
closures
sent
so
a
they can
big
adjust
old
their-
email this afternoon to everybody to talk about that.
Okay, all right, cool.
Just because Stone Mountain
Like
Middle
best
School
rep.
principal is a
Yeah.
good friend, and she didn't even know that they had donated the property. So the school system didn't tell her, so. Yeah,
Okay.
so I've asked, so I'm sorry, you guys weren't copied on that, but I asked that we talk to all of the school system because there's 3 schools there and also the construction projects on Mountain Industrial and Hugh Howell. We've got schools there, the headquarters, bus routes, like, let's get everybody in a room from DeKalb and us and talk about that, make sure everybody's aware.
Yeah, cool. And then the last thing I wanted to note is that I've read about how they increase safety and I can see it car wise, but I was wondering how a roundabout increases safety pedestrian wise, because when you look at a standard intersection of 2 roads, you think, well, a person only has to cross once, or it just seems simpler on a standard intersection. But what I realized when I read and I double checked the plans, that because there's these little islands between, a pedestrian in this, on these roundabouts is only going to have to look in one direction and only cross one direction of traffic. And that's what makes it safer, is they don't have to look both ways and then accidentally miss something in the opposite way that they weren't looking. So that should probably be an aspect of our communications about the benefits, because this is going to be disruptive and it will be something new. And so I thought we should probably highlight that it, while it looks a little more complicated, it is safer even for pedestrians. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Right, you're crossing a shorter distance, right? On a typical signalized crossing, the minimum you would cross is about 26 feet or 2 lane widths. Granted, you do have a signal crossing, but if you're caught in the middle of that signal timing, you're SOL, you're just out of luck. I mean, in these roundabouts, there are those refuge islands, so you do have a place to safely stand and wait for the next crossing while you look, again, in only one direction. You're not crossing halfway to look for the other direction to see what's coming through. But yeah, you're an engineer.
Issue, you're loosening up, SOL, I love it. All right, all right. You got anything? And then I'll come down here.
You know, a lot of what's been said is kind of like talked around what I was thinking in my head and concerned about, and that is definitely both of the roundabouts being constructed at the same time. I mean, we've Councilmember Nguyen said it. We've been talking about this for a long time, but now that we're here, that is probably the one thing when I read the packet where I was like, you know, I just want to make sure that that we are making it as comfortable. The end goal is going to be really wonderful, I think, and it's going to help with traffic and, like it said in the packet, you know, carbon and all the great benefits, but folks are going to have to be, you know, exercise a lot of patience, and for both of those to be done at the same time. And I did listen intently, I think, to the timeline, and I was trying to calculate the summer months because, you know, traffic is much heavier during the school year. So I was just hoping, it sounds like the last half, like, let's say, okay, so SAR roundabout is about a year. So that the last 6 months is when it's going to be the heaviest. Well, it would be nice if that was going on during the summer vacation months.
Yeah.
Because come August, and then it takes a while for traffic to like calm down once school starts. And so, you know, I don't know if I have a question in here, but that is like the thing that you know, I just wanted to reiterate my concern about that. And, you know, obviously the communication pieces and all that stuff to sort of help let people know what's coming and plan accordingly. But that makes me nervous. And then my one question is about just the SAR Parkway. We did talk about sidewalks there. And I know that I just really would like for you to speak on the challenges with sidewalks there, because we know there are sidewalk challenges, but that is near a school. And we really do want to have that walkability, safe walkability. So my understanding is the engineers did the best they could to try to, have sidewalks wherever possible, expand, but we do have some challenges. So I was hoping you'd speak about that.
Yeah, so if you look at the image up on the screen, there is sidewalk on the school side of the property. That'll take you down to Idlewood and, tie into the existing sidewalk there. However, there is no sidewalk across Idlewood ever at 78. The bridge is just very limited in width. So there is really no room for a sidewalk to feasibly fit and be safe for a pedestrian to walk through over Idlewood Road with that. Perhaps if, the council wanted to move forward with a bridge replacement, that would be very expensive sidewalk, but not impossible for us engineers, right, Vin? Oh, yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, it's just a very expensive connection to make.
Who knows, maybe one day GDOT will want to widen 78 and they'll give us a new bridge.
Yep.
And then the timing, I know I put too much in there, but.
No,
the timing
so
piece.
yeah, we'd be very aware of the school, and that's kind of the way the schedule is built out to kind of force the contractor to do this one first. Because it's a little bit simpler, a little bit smaller. We're hoping that they would take away any lessons learned and apply it to the second one. But again, I can't promise that. It's a means and methods that contractor may elect to do both of them at the same time.
I think the thing people don't realize is none of the kids who go to Stone Mountain Middle School are right here. They're all on bus or car pickup. So, I'm going to talk to you later on though about some signage out there.
So I do want to tag in on the school piece as the person who has a child in the Tucker Middle School system right now. One, it is true that there are not kids that are zoned for Stone Mountain in the city of Tucker, except in the summer for summer school.
Oh, they do live in the city of Tucker. They live on Juliet Road. And
I mean,
they're
zoned
the same,
for
but they don't walk
going
in that area.
except for summer school. So I think when we are talking about how we are coordinating with DeKalb County School District, there are some very specific, like multiple areas that we should be paying attention to. So one is the summer school schedule, because the kids are also sometimes bused to Stone Mountain Middle School for summer school. I don't know what their plans are as they have been doing their facilities updates. Like there will be a random, school closure, but when we lived in Classic Village, our kid was regularly going to Stone Mountain Middle School for summer school. The second part is there is a massive, massive issue right now. Currently, it is continuing to go with busing with the middle school. The buses do not consistently run on time. They are not consistently communicated to parents. It is an issue across for all parents. And I have concerns about the timing of when the construction can be done because Tucker Middle School lets out at 4:10. And so I already have issues with my child sometimes not getting home until 5:30 at night because of the busing and traffic issues that we're talking about. And so as we're thinking about what the times are for construction to be happening, it's not just rush hour for people who are working and living there. It's the number of buses that are coming out of that area. And then I just want to flag that going down and looking at the route, like looking at the whole routes, right? Not just the localized intersection where things are being done, but how the traffic is coming through. The buses being stationed at, off of Mountain Industrial, and what are their corridors that they are coming through. So I was doing the same math that Councilwoman Reese was doing and not getting to the summer. And so one, I think there's a lot of different levels of coordination with the district that need to be like really, really ironed out really closely. And to the point about communication, really thinking about, I think really, really thinking about Tucker Middle School as a constituency in and of itself, outside of just the homeowners associations. There's a lot of kids that live in those apartments that are nearby that walk There's a lot of people, there's a lot of kids that walk from the middle school to downtown, after school. And so I'm wondering if, as we're thinking about public information and communication, not just once it's constructed, but I would like to know more about the signage and how to navigate the construction as a pedestrian while it's being constructed, right? So how are we telling kids, how are we telling people with disabilities to navigate the construction zone component of this? Because it is a high traffic area. I mean, one question that I had asked in the past that I haven't gotten an answer from, and I would still love to have this information, is what are our traffic counts about pedestrians, right, in the area? Not what are just our traffic counts about cars, what are our traffic counts about pedestrians? A question I have, because this came up from a previous transportation project, is how were the fire department and the school district engaged in the design of the roundabouts to make sure that they accommodate those particular types of vehicles?
So, I can't answer on behalf of Ken, but I'd have to get with Ken on how that is. But typically, there is a program called AutoTurn that will simulate that movement around a roundabout, and the center island is scaled smaller or larger to facilitate those vehicles. In fact, both of these center islands have a concrete component of them. If you look at the brown area here, this is called a truck apron. That is a 4-inch vertical curb. It's called a mountable curb. It goes in at an angle so it doesn't destroy a truck tire, but that does permit additional room for trucks, buses, fire trucks to drag their back tires across the roundabout without destroying the infrastructure. At SAR Parkway, the whole center island is concrete, so theoretically they could go straight over that. But as far as specific measures that were taken, I couldn't answer that personally.
I just,
If I could just specifically, because I prepared some communication on this and actually spoke with Ken about it, he basically said that 18-wheelers are the largest thing that you would potentially create scale for. Both of these are designed to accommodate 18-wheelers, therefore they accommodate buses and fire vehicles.
okay. I think just to the feedback was that I heard from the DeKalb County Fire on another project that they weren't informed, consulted, engaged. And so I think when we think about, again, all of the ways that we do community engagement and constituency engagement and information, it's important to think about all of those stakeholders and how they're using it, proactively. So I was curious about that. One more question on the pedestrian piece. I'd still love to hear, because a fuller answer on the pedestrian safety piece around, when I'm looking at the drawing, I hear about the raised, which I appreciate, and I'm still concerned that sounds like it could function as a speed bump, basically. So, because I'm looking at the drawing, right, and the yield comes after the crosswalk, not before the crosswalk. So how are we folding in, can you speak more to the signage about people having to slow down before they get to the bump? And then also, can you speak to any ADA, how is the crosswalk piece going to happen for people who are visually, auditorily, or physically impaired in navigating that?
Yeah, so it is kind of like a speed hump. There is signage before that states that there's an upcoming crosswalk. So there will be the flashing, press it, it'll flash for you to cross. So that'll notify a driver approaching the roundabout that this is a crosswalk. The elevated component also helps in the fact that you can see the painted lines on the ground prior to reaching that crosswalk. So there will be a lot of permanent signs in place, both on the right-hand side as you approach and in the middle, the refuge island that we talked about earlier. Those also have signage on them notifying the drivers about a crosswalk.
Okay, yeah, I think it'd be great to see if there's a way to add some extra even further down, because again, even in the video that we were shown, I think last fall, the driver slowed down for the second set of pedestrians, but the first set of pedestrians had to step out of the way. So, and it's kind of like we experience this even on Chamblee Tucker, where it's not as high of a pedestrian access, is it's like the third car through that finally slows down for the pedestrian. And so I just want to make sure that we are doing all of the things like orienting around, again, around the pedestrian first, and then figuring out how to make the cars respond second. And so if there's any way that we can get even further out, so it's not getting to the crosswalk before there's a, oh, I need to slow down,
Yeah,
essentially, as we
yeah.
have discussed, that people don't seem to.
And then the ADA compliance of it, because of the push button, there could be audible impacts. In fact, we tried one at Second Street and the resident didn't like that part too much, so we turned it way down, but it still exists. Yeah, there's audible notification on the push button aspect of that. And then the lighting that I mentioned, visually impaired will have the truncated domes on the ground that they'll be able to use. And all of this is 2% or less, which meets ADA compliance.
And I know Mike and I have talked about this a little bit, but I know we've been talking about it, community advisory board and being able to really get the people who use these things out and using them and making sure that there's some user testing and some that there's not what looks great on a textbook doesn't always, when it actually gets rolled out. Can you, and I realize I asked this question, but can you speak to how we can do this during the construction phase too?
Yeah, I want to go back to that. So during construction phase, it will not be ADA compliant. But I do have in the bid document that any sidewalk disrupted has to remain open. And typical way to do that is put GAB in place of concrete. GAB is just compacted rock that will keep the sidewalk open, but it won't be ADA compliant.
To my question about getting data about pedestrians in the area, can we try to get some of that and maybe see if there are specific accommodations for people that are using, because there are a lot of people that are using these things, and I want to make sure we're not messing up people's very expensive wheelchairs that they've paid for with Medicaid with that. And so
Yeah,
I'd love to be able to figure out what
mean,
the actual need
we can
is.
talk to it on a staff level, but I don't see a problem getting pedestrian counts. It's not a very heavy lift, even before, during, and after construction. And it's probably less than $2,500 to do those 3 studies.
Thank you. Good questions, good conversation. I think a big takeaway before we take the vote is a lot of this, again, we've seen it before, is about design, concerns of design. Like, you all know us by now. So I think addressing these things ahead of time on some of these projects is good. And also bringing it back, like we're doing the work sessions now. So we'll have that opportunity next time to do that, because a reminder to, we've gotten to the contract and we've still got some questions. So I want to make sure that moving forward with these types of projects is that this kind of stuff is taken care of well before we go out to bid. You know, see what I'm saying? Yeah, because we've gone out, this is about bid and contract. So if there were conversations tonight, similar to what we had before about like, oh, let's change this and do this and do that, I want to make sure we were well ahead of that moving forward on projects.
Yep. And even during construction, I don't mind coming to a work session and giving you an update and look ahead and, very specific phases of construction. That'll be probably beneficial to all.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Can I get a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve contract C 2025-017-PO 26-1272 for the consideration of contract for construction of 2 roundabouts at Idlewood Road, on Idlewood Road.
All right.
Second.
All right. Ready for a vote? All right. All those in favor? Let's see a show of hands. All right. 7-0. Thank you. I know that's a long time. Y'all, we were talking about this when I was on council and I was off for 2 years. All right. But we got another one. Issue, why'd you sit down? Oh, no, this is John McHenry. Oh, you guys are trying to keep me on my toes tonight. All right.
Disappointment.
All right.
No,
Let me read it in.
Bonnie's got to read it in.
Oh.
We have contract C 2026-PO26-1259, consideration of a contract for the construction engineering and inspection services and construction material testing for the two roundabouts on Idlewood Road at Fellowship Road and Star Parkway.
Thank you. Thank you. Trying to talk into my microphone. My microphone is on. That's good stuff. So I talked to you about this before about another CEI services with our great partners at Lowe for Rosenfeld. They've already done excellent work for us on Tuckertown Green, my favorite project. I have to say it. But also they're doing great work on our Richardson project that's moving forward. This is an important component of making sure that we're protecting the city's interest on the project and also essentially doing key material testing that's needed for the projects. So excited about this moving forward as ISHRI continues to do is excellent management on these projects that will work so well in tandem.
All right, any questions on this for Mr. McHenry?
Not for,
Councilman?
not for Mr. McHenry. I thought we would have a little discussion of the previous contract, but I just wanted to kind of circle back and address some questions that Councilmember Weaver had, if that's okay.
Well, I'd like to vote on
Fine,
this one
yeah.
first. All right. Any questions on this contract? Yes.
I'll make a motion.
You have a question? Yes.
Oh, sorry.
It's more a top level question, which is, I think we shifted into adding in CEI services, which I think is good, but I also want to make sure that we named like a policy that we're going to just be doing it going forward. And I can't remember if we did or not. So what is before us, and I hope in the future, is not should we do a CEI and then who is the CEI contractor, but it's just about we will be doing CEI services for projects. And so we're voting on the specific contractor that's doing it. I just want to name that as like, I want to make sure we're all continuing to expect that we will have this on our projects. So
I gotcha. But I think that's what we're voting on. We're voting on a contract for this. Yeah.
It was more the way it was framed of should we do CEI or not in conjunction with the specific contract. So I was
Okay.
trying to clarify, like,
I gotcha.
yes, we should do.
Mr. McHenry.
Commissioner Sankler might be able to speak to this better, but typically our threshold for the CEI services is typically projects that are over $1 million. So that's why we move forward on this.
Thank you. All right. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve contract C 2026 P026 1259.
I'll second.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none. All those in favor? All right. Bonnie? 7-0. Thank you. All right, ISHRI. I-10.
We have contract CQ 26-01-PO26-1268. This is consideration of a contract to provide construction engineer and inspections and construction material testing services for the intersection improvement project at Mountain Industrial Boulevard and Hugh Howe Road.
All right, thank you. And as Bonnie mentioned, Hugh Howell and Mountain Industrial Boulevard, it's a state-funded project in which we received 100% funds, and that one's already been voted on council. Because of that state tie, we are required to provide CEI and CMT services on this project to make sure that the state facilities meet the state standards. So this contract's awarded or intended to be awarded to BM&K, which is a pre-qualified contractor for the state of Georgia. to provide these services. As you know, the ER Snell is the contractor, very reputable, but still we need to have documentation and evidence for the state. The state will always have oversight over this project. We maybe even be audited at some point to provide these to the state. But definitely before we start receiving reimbursement, we'll have to come up with a system, probably monthly, where we submit these reports, daily reports, photos, requests for information, submittals, and all the documentation that goes into construction, even complaints. I mean, if we receive a complaint, we have to document it and submit it to the state and how it was resolved. So this is a BM&K, again, qualified with GDOT, and they're partnering with GeoHydro, another consultant, to do the construction materials testing on this. Their contract is $198,000, and staff is recommending the award to BM&K for that.
All right, questions on the contract? All right, we see this is in District 1. We got a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve contract CO26 dash, that's not a Q, right? Okay. My readers aren't good enough for my eyesight. Okay, let's start all over. Contract CQ26-01-PO26-1268.
I second that.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Do a show of hands. All right, Bonnie, you got that? 7-0. Don't get used to that, Bonnie. Good for tonight. All right, thank you. All right, we will have executive session, but let's first with council comments. Anybody down here? All right, Councilwoman Troche.
Yep, I just want to remind everybody that it is Black History Month, and this is a great time for us to support all the Black-owned businesses, restaurants, stores, that thing. We have plenty of them in Tucker and surrounding areas, so it's a vital time to be supporting Black History Month. So I just wanted to make that reminder.
Thank you. Good reminder. Anybody else? All right, anybody down here?
Well, I just wanted to stop a minute, kind of what Glenn was referencing about approving the roundabout construction contract. It has been a long time coming, and I wanted to especially thank the team. When I first started 4 years ago, a project was the North-South Connector Street study, and that study was really important to really looking at all the traffic. And now that we're fast forward 4 or 5 years, I'm really grateful for those solutions. The roundabouts, I know it will be a lot of challenge for some of the neighbors, and I will work as I can to communicate with them, but I also think in the end of the day, it will be very rewarding for everybody to feel safer. And that was the #1 priority for the project. I also want to just extend appreciation to the team, Tucker, for all the work that you've done on it. And I want to thank the DeKalb School, especially Mr. Hofstetler, for helping us get the donated land there at the middle school. And I wanted to also thank the mayor and the council, and then Council Wynn, for our efforts on the project. It was a lot of extra time and energy. And then we did have a meeting a week ago about how to start communicating and when we need to do that with timing, and we will continue to do that. And I appreciate everybody focusing a little bit on the schools as well. They are certainly important partners in this process. So thank you all.
Excellent, thank you. All right.
I had a couple of things. One, I want to start by saying a big thank you to Joseph and Mayor Lerner for getting our closed captioning on the screen. I know that there's debate about how many people watch this, but I will promise you there's a whole lot of people who do. And this is like a very, very important step for accessibility and information. And so I just wanted to say, I noticed it, I appreciate it, And thank you for getting that done so quickly as a first thing. So want to say thank you. I just, sort of mentioned this with the housing piece, but I do want to circle back to again, want to express appreciation for the confidence. But one of the things that I think I'm really excited about, the mayor mentioned our retreat on Saturday, and I left very optimistic. I was giving Councilmember Orlando a little bit of a rundown, and he was like, "Oh, so it was kumbaya," and I was like, "It wasn't quite that," but I don't think it needs to be. I think I think it is optimism about working with one another. We talked a lot about compromise and what does that really mean, and so everybody gets a little bit of something, and I just I feel like just very hopeful locally, given some very big, less hopeful things that are happening. I am very grateful to be hopeful about what we are doing locally and making impacts for people's lives. And, the housing piece is like a first step for me, but I feel like it's just a sign of all of the different things in all of our different areas to come. And I appreciate that. So I just trying to find ways to name the good things alongside of the challenges these days. Just so wanted to say thank you again to everybody for your support. And I'm really glad that we're all going to be working together.
Very nice. And I want to thank Joseph as well. And we're going to do an announcement about the next meeting, but he didn't want me to do it this time because he wanted to test it out one last time. Right? One last time. He wanted to test it out. So that's good. I'm glad. And we do have several folks who are very prominent in state organizations that support the deaf who had reached out and asked about this. So I remember you and I were going to follow up to let them know. So when Joseph tells us it's okay to do so, we will do so. So appreciate your efforts. All right. So we do have executive session this evening. So that means that if the council so chooses, we'll speak. Mayor Pro Tem Reese is going to make a motion in a minute. We may or may not have action when we come back, but we'll take the video down and we'll come back up if you want to listen driving home or anything like that. So appreciate you being here. All right, item K.
I move to enter executive session for the purposes of personnel, litigation, and real estate.
And I second your motion.
All right. All those in favor? All right. None opposed. We'll be back.